Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Let's continue reflections on the developments that unfolded overnight in the Eastern Cape. Mthatha community activist Phumla Mathaya says they can finally breathe a sigh of relief after the killing of suspected Mthatha Extortionist, that's Dalinzolo Mareke. Now, Mareke had been linked to several cases of extortion incidents in that area, which of course he denied. Phumla joins us now via our video link for more on this particular story. And Phumla, thank you so much for making time to speak to us. Welcome to the SABC News channel. Let me just get first your reflections about how you felt when you heard that this had actually taken place. And I'm asking this because the community there had been complaining about some of the things that Mareke had been accused of for years.
Yep. Thank you very much. Good morning, South Africa. Unfortunately, it takes a certain level of thinking and mind to show a certain type of reaction, irrespective of the person's position. I could not believe my ears because death is death in the first place. We don't celebrate when someone dies in our culture, whether he was a strong, well-known criminal. It's not for us to judge. The unfortunate part of it is that as much as I knew he invited his death, I saw it coming, but I didn't see it this soon coming because people had lost confidence. People did not know where to go to cry to. And it was just my word trying to convince them that the law will take its course. And unfortunately, my intelligence is very advanced. I was miles and step ahead. I knew that there is no government that would allow a lawbreaker and somebody who is bringing uncertainty to the citizens to an extent that they don't feel safe and secured. Automatically, the good will always win against the bad. Even those that are supporting him, they definitely expected that out of the good, the wrong will come out. So it is what it is.
Fair enough. You say you had this coming. For many South Africans who are now watching the story with interest, this would be around the first time that they hear of his name. Perhaps you can tell us a bit more about the type of person you describe him as in your own interactions, or at least from other people's accounts, specifically in Mthatha.
I think a poor young boy has been overrated. And I see him as someone who was operating from certain levels. You could listen from the videos that were circulating that this is a young man. He has not been tried and tested on the ground. But you would wonder, where does all this boldness come from? Those that seem to know better and those that seem to be affected by his acts will tell you the story that he's not the big fish. There are big fish that are, pumping air into his wings. So it's kind of complicated. But from the people of Mandela and around Mthatha, and the people that grew up with him, I think he saw a gap of lawlessness. That's how he grew. He started small, like any other criminal that's doing petty criminal. Probably his boldness was used the other way around. These are not my words. It's from what the people were saying. Mind you, there are those that are crying for his death. There are those that who believe he was a true leader. But on the ground, there are those that are celebrating. When a person who was ruling with tyranny, who was crucifying communities, once he dies, the community and the people come out loud to speak. You could hear the voice notes that are coming out, circulating on WhatsApp, people crying, women and children. They are so jubilant. Some who decided to leave the Mandela area, they have actually posted saying they will be coming back. There was a problem on the ground, and I think it was given too much liberty. Hence, it has gotten to a state where it is. This is no big fish in the pot, but the boy had the wings, and because some of the police are residing within his jurisdiction, And it amazes me that in media he's referred to as a chief. The government and the king that is supposed to give blessings to him, to anoint his name, they are not part of that. So he's just an ordinary boy who was exercising his powers. I'll tell you something, he was too confident and too sure. When he put his stories across, the king went to speak to him to tell him that this is nonsensical, what he's doing. You would have expected him to bow and come with a different tactic. Instead, he grew more wings and wings. You would have assumed that there's something bigger that he's going to demonstrate, only to find that his air would push him to put his hand right into the mouth of the lion. I'm happy for the police because their reputation was just up to nothing in Mthatha.
Sure.
And we can't all lose confidence in them. We know it's levels of policing in any institutions. There are those who don't even know whether they are coming or going. But we give thanks because we have seen that there are levels indeed. There are no generals or captains that would allow a young boy who has not seen it all to gallivant and humiliate them like that. We give thanks to that, and we hope they will continue to work on the ground.
Right.
And it must be known, it's not the parliamentarians who know what is happening on the ground. They must go back to the drawing board and put emphasis and shine on community leaders. Because if it was not for King Dalinzolo and myself as a woman, South Africa would still not know what is happening in Mthatha. There are other properties that have been hijacked. Department of Public Works must come on board. There's also Paktoa and cases of people that are crying from these people. We need to sit down and solve the solution of Mthatha and crime.
Fair
Thank
enough.
you.
Yeah, given what you've just said, including the fact that the big fish are still out there, to what extent do you reckon that those who are celebrating what took place last night are doing so prematurely? Put differently, do you expect anything to change in Mthatha?
Well, if you have faith, there's absolutely no way. If you have hope, there's no way that you cannot live to see the difference. We were born and brought up in Mthatha. We know the standards of Mthatha and the quality of people that come out of Mthatha. These are just migrants who came by bus and dropped in Mthatha because the gap is there. Most of the people from Mthatha are out in the cities. What was meant in the beginning, the foundation that was laid by the Matanzimas, will always rise to stand firm because the seed of Mthatha is very firm. The wind will blow to pass, but it will not blow to destroy the foundation that has been laid for the Mthatha people.
Very poetic indeed. I wonder then, to what extent you reckon this will also mark a shift in the sentiment of people who are meant to build the moral fiber that will protect the seed that you've just referred to? Because you're right, a lot of the decay that takes place in communities, not only in the Eastern Cape, but certainly around the country, is a gradual process. It's just years of inefficiencies, years of a lack of oversight, years of just having no intervention that lead in the culmination of notorious figures who can go around claiming things that they're not, which some people must say is the case in this particular instance. So from your perspective, are we going to finally see a shift in a way to protect the moral fiber that ought to have been there to begin with?
We need to put a strong emphasis on people who understand what it means to be a leader. People that are born as leaders, not people that are scribed through academic achievement or through corruption. We need to have a cohesion, social cohesion, so that we can all rise together, because community leaders are the ones that have the immediate intelligence of what is happening on the ground. So if we can build that strong uniformity, then together we can rise. I think now that as government of national unity, definitely it's giving hope. We can't look and see from one angle and think that the view will be the same. We need to have patriotism. That is why there's so much gap on the ground in South Africa. Our children do not know who they are. Our children do not have identity. They do not have the love of their country. It's only what they see as in a red race, what they can claim to see as their country. That's not what makes them and identify them as citizens of South Africa. Community policing is very important because at the end of the day, we need each other. Those leaders that on top must humble themselves and link up with those that are on the ground, and then together we can rise up. They cannot do it on their own. They are just academic achievers who do not know that there are two schools in life. You do find leadership that has achieved through academic achievement and leaders that are born. We can't leave them behind. And community leaders, then they will bring that intelligence. We can know what is happening long before women and children are victimized by the so-called leaders like Mareke. Too much watching of television is exciting to the youth, and they think this is real. This child is just a victim of circumstances.
So much to think about from what you've just said. Phumla Mathaya, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us.